we have people who have signed in for the budget. No, I'm sorry. Wrong number. Victoria Carter, please. If you'd come to the podium and just identify yourself.
Hi, I'm Victoria Carter.
Hello, I'm Mariam Asghar.
Welcome.
If you guys want to move that microphone closer to you. There you go.
Hello, my name is Mariam, and this is Victoria. We are students in the Rye Neck School District and are here to ask for better safety at the Hornage Road and Route 1 crosswalk. Hundreds of students, including ourselves, use this crosswalk every day, especially after school for sports, clubs, and other activities. In the fall and winter, it gets dark early, and crossing such a busy road can feel extremely unsafe. We appreciate that the city recently updated the signs, but it still isn't enough. On Friday, there was no crossing guard present, and this led to confusion for both walkers and drivers. This issue is incredibly serious because of the extreme danger it can potentially cause. A rectangular rapid flashing beacon or a pedestrian island would help drivers notice us sooner and make crossing these busy roads much safer and more comfortable for both pedestrians and drivers.
Safety is something our community has been thinking about, especially after the tragic accident on Mariam Avenue a year ago, where a mother and her child were both killed while crossing the street. That young boy, Michael Volpe, is the exact same age as my brother Jonathan. He is a 6-year-old boy who drives and walks to school every morning, excited to start his day. I can't even begin to imagine what my family and I would feel if we lost him to another reckless accident. This loss reminds me, as well as countless others, of just how important it is to act before something similar and tragic happens.
This section of Boston Post Road is considered a high accident area. In a past study, over 70 crashes were reported on just a small stretch of this road. With so many students crossing here every day, it's clear that improvements aren't just helpful, they're necessary to protect the safety of our community. Just 2 days ago on Boston Post Road, a student was hit by a car while walking to school. Although the student is now fine, this incident is one of many unnecessary accidents that resulted in an injury or a tragedy.
Furthermore, a majority of the students at Rye Neck are members of after-school clubs or sports. As participants in sports and clubs ourselves, we can vouch for the fact that there is no one directing or controlling the traffic after our activities have concluded. Especially during the wintertime when it gets dark earlier, having a better way to cross the street is crucial, particularly since cars have a hard time seeing pedestrians during these dark evenings.
We're asking the city, as students, citizens, and members of this community, to include this safety improvement in the 2026 budget so students can get the safety they deserve when getting to and from school activities.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you, ladies. Really, really important. Well done, ladies.
Mayor,
he's got it. Brian can talk about it.
Just before we have another couple of speakers on this topic, and I'd like the city manager to give status on this. It's not a budget matter. It is a traffic engineering matter.
Yeah, so I actually did include this as part of my report of the city manager, but I'll mention it now. There's multiple pedestrian safety initiatives that are actively under review by the TPS, or the Traffic and Pedestrian Safety Committee, and city staff. This is one of them. And basically, where we are in the process now is we're doing the necessary due diligence, both with traffic engineers, our partners in neighboring jurisdictions in the State Department of Transportation. And once the appropriate review and design is completed, I'm confident we're on a path to address this over the short term. We just have to make sure we're doing our due diligence. But the budget will be there to once we come up with a design that meets all of the state and federal standards, we'll be able to advance something. And this actually is going to be an agenda item at the next meeting, so you can hear from our TPS and our city engineer more in depth on what we're looking at.
How long do we think that process is going to take for those that are interested in?
I think
Because where we are there, like, so that the idiosyncratic thing there is it's up Boston Post Road, which that part of Boston Post Road is not our jurisdiction, is it?
Some of it is.
Some of it is. That part is, but what's happening now is the state, along with the Mariam Neck, they're contemplating a road diet immediately adjacent to there. So we need to align our efforts with their efforts. DOT has made clear they want to be involved in ultimately the review of this and what we end up advancing. So we're on it. We're working very hard on it, and we have urgency around it as well.
So this is basically the Rye Neck School District, our Rye citizens who happen to go to the Rye Neck schools. We have to work with Mariam Neck because it's crossing over and it's part of Mariam City. And that portion of the Boston Post Road that goes from New Rochelle to Mariam Neck, our city border, is controlled by the state. And we only control the side that's our side of the city. So there's all these players that we have to talk about and figure out. And that's why I think when we get Ryan in the room, who is our city engineer, next week, we're really going to be able to have a much more policy, high level and deep dive into how we can do this. So your comments, I just want to thank you for coming. Your comments are really important, but Brian really is trying to help us understand, all of us up here who don't get it either, how all these players work out. And it will get done. I believe it will get done.
It will 100% get done.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to look at, do you guys know when the TPS is December 11th? You have that? Okay,
Yeah,
at 6 o'clock,
Yeah.
just so you know. So we appreciate all the emails, very helpful. Everybody this will get addressed. We just have to go through doing it the right way.
Just to be clear, like it's December 17th that Ryan and company is going to show up here.
Correct.
So rather than, if you have plenty of time, please show up to the Traffic and Pedestrian Safety Committee, but come to that meeting if you want to hear the deep dive on the plan.
Well,
Is that
will we
fair?
have deep dive on the plan on the 17th? No, I thought that was going to
We'll
be.
have a better
more-
idea on the path forward.
Right.
And look, these conversations with the state, with the consulting engineers assigned to the road diet project, they're happening now. I've been talking about this. I've had conversations with the city engineer every day this week. So this has our full attention.
Hey, Brian, could we put a crossing guard there while we're waiting for this all to happen? Maybe that's a temporary
Isn't there
answer.
one? I think there is one during school hours. I think what the ladies were addressing here is after school hours with activities and stuff, there's no crossing guard.
Look, I think what would be helpful, Brian, on the 17th when we get some information is hopefully by then we'll have a sense of what is the timing between then and installation of something. Because if the installation timing is reasonable, great. And if it's not, then we could talk about what are interim things that we could do, because if it's going to be something like the Forest Avenue sidewalks that take, years, then we should do something and then rip it up.
Yeah, I don't
The
foresee
times
that.
do. I don't think we foresee that, but that's you should. But we're appreciating your urgency and realizing that there's a reasonable period of time, and if that doesn't work, then we can do something to accommodate an unreasonable period of time.
Correct.
Okay.
But to Councilman Henderson's suggestion, is it worth looking at an extra beefed up
Well,
cross guard?
absolutely. We'll look at additional personnel to assign there. We can absolutely do that.
Just one other thing. If there's any decisions that have to be made by the council, we're going to have a whole new council on January 1. If we can make any decisions on this at the next meeting, I think we should. I think we've heard everybody. I don't think there's going to be much dispute about this. It just might be easier if there is a decision to be made, we could make it, maybe before everything's, lined up. But so I just throw that out there.
Yeah, I think as fast as we can do it, let's do it.
Yep.
So TPS, I think, is probably where it'll go a little bit more in depth, and then we'll get the summary plan of that and timeline at the next meeting on the 17th.
So there are two other speakers on this topic, Diana Riley and Mariam Asghar. Do you wish to speak, or?
First of all, I appreciate all the communication and all the work that has gone into this so far. I'm still going to stick to my comments for a little bit because it gives some background, because I see that not everybody has all the background, and then have just a couple follow-up questions based on what was just stated. So my name is Diana Riley. I am co-chair of the Rye Neck Safe Routes to School group. We have other members of Safe Routes to Schools here as well. I'm also the parent of a 7th grader at Rye Neck Middle School and a 9th grader at Rye Neck High School. So this particular issue is one that's going to affect my family personally for a number of years to come. As background for information, I first of all wanted to explain that our Safe Routes group has been coordinating on the Route 1 traffic safety improvements for a number of years with state and government transportation representatives like Shelley Mayer, Steve Otis, the New York State DOT. It was Shelley Mayer's office that helped confirm with the DOT that the city of Rye is responsible for the Hornage Route 1 crosswalk and that stretch of road that it sits on. So I think, Brian Rocha, you were in communication with Rachel Estroff on this particular topic. So it absolutely, the crosswalk is, after many emails back and forth, the jurisdiction of the city of Rye. This past June, we reached out to the Rye Traffic and Pedestrian Safety Committee to point out that the Hornage Route 1 crosswalk needed updating. One side was covered by bushes, another crosswalk on the other side was just on a telephone pole, and we had explained how the Rye Neck School District parents in the district were very impressed by a lot of the flashing beacons and the pedestrian refuge islands that have been installed throughout Rye. I mean, they're beautiful. They're amazing. You know, even up a mile up the road at Bradford and Route 1. So our ask was that the city of Rye replicate the same traffic and pedestrian safety improvements that are at Bradford and other places at Hornage, considering that it's one of our busiest intersections, and at least from our perspective, that it hadn't yet received attention. And I would like to thank the TPS. They were very approachable and cordial. Brian Dempsey has been very communicative. But we were told, after looking into the issue in November, that the budget for pedestrian safety improvements was used up for 2025 and that they'd have to look into alternative funding sources. So I guess one of the questions that I have is, you seem to be saying that there isn't a funding issue, but we were given the impression that there was, which is...
This would get funded. This is not, it's not going to be.
I think Brian can speak to it more directly.
We have basically accrued significant state aid dollars that we can draw down on to fund this, or we have CapEx reserves. We have plenty of places to pull.
That's great to hear.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
And that's why we should have today. The point I'm making on that, and I don't want to eat it. Well, oh, you paused it. Thank you. Is that I don't think anybody up here would put budget over public safety. We would find the money. Just in case that was the thought, like I want to dispel that. Like,
okay.
We would find the money for that.
Thank you for clarifying that. And since I'm short on time, the girls expressed all of the concerns about that intersection. We appreciate the temporary signs that have gone up with the reflective material, but we do want to emphasize that we're happy to work with you further on the engineering issues. We were told that one of the issues is that if we put in a pedestrian safety refuge island, it would interfere with the neighboring gas station. We've separately talked with some traffic consultants, DOT, and the impression that we've gotten back is that you can actually put a pedestrian safety refuge island in the area that's in right now with flashing beacons. So happy to discuss that further on the 11th, on the 17th, or any date. But
we're having those discussions as well. So, yeah, okay. Happy to.
Then I guess my last request is if there's any way to get someone like Chris Hahn from the DOT involved in the 17th in that discussion, considering you're saying it's a bunch of different moving pieces, it'd be wonderful to get the other players in the room at the same time so that we can hear all the perspectives. But thank you again for your time. We really appreciate it, and we're hopeful that we can work together.
Thank you.
Mariam Asghar? Oh, okay. Thank you.